for me earlier. I had a conflict. I really appreciate our witnesses here today. Mr. Tito, it's good to see you again. I want to reiterate, and I know my statement's been submitted for the record, but I want to reiterate to Chairman Palazzo my commitment to working with him and with the Chairman and the Ranking Member for a clean one-year extension of the commercial launch indemnification provisions. And I hope that over this next year, we really will take to the task of doing the kind of oversight hearings that we need to give the commercial space industry the kind of certainty that we need with respect to indemnification. And we can only do that if we get the FAA in here and get experts in so that we can look at the future environment and climate with respect to commercial activity. But I do support a clean one-year extension as we're approaching that date of December 31st. To all of the panelists, I think that much of what we think of as commercial space really involves a lot of significant government contribution, and sometimes we don't hear that. And in fact, the delineation between public and private appears increasingly blurred. As somebody who came out of NASA, I think it's always been a little bit blurred, and that's okay. But how should Congress in its oversight role look at the role of public-private relationships to ensure that both taxpayers and commercial entities' interests are appropriately considered? And then I would like each of you, if you would give me an indication as to whether you know how much, in fact, taxpayers have contributed to the current commercial environment.
For the commercial satellite sector, there's not a taxpayer contribution. These are privately financed, privately launched, privately operated satellites. Obviously, there's government regulatory regimes that license and oversee those. It is my understanding at the FCC, for example, that those license fees are cost-based in terms of the agencies.
What about the technology that went into the commercial satellite industry?
Yeah,
any idea of the contribution of NASA or any of our agencies in terms of their contribution?
I'm not aware of any government programs to develop commercial satellite technology. There certainly is an interplay between the commercial satellite sector and the broader space enterprise, where products that are developed in the NASA context may later be commercialized.
Thank you. Mr. Tito, in the architecture report that's attached to your statement, it says that, quote, perhaps several $100 million in new Federal spending could make this mission happen. Are you suggesting that the mission couldn't be undertaken without additional NASA funding? And is there evidence in the current fiscal environment that those several $100 million would be available?
Well, right now I don't see a lot of evidence that money is available. We do have an opportunity in 4 years, but we have an opportunity in 8 years, and a lot can happen.
So when you say several $100 million would be required from NASA, is that $100 million? Is it $900 million?
Well, I think initially we're talking about per year, so it might be 100 to 200 million a year would be needed to fund the dual-use upper stage, which the nation needs anyway to provide heavy lift capability. So that would be one project that would have to take place.
And that would require taxpayer support, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's already planned, but it's not funded yet over the longer term period.
And Mr. Witt, do you have an idea of how much taxpayer support has gone into the commercial activities that you're engaged in or that others of your partners are?
Ms. Edwards, I can only speak to Mojave Air and Spaceport. We're a California special district, so we're a quasi-government entity that can qualify for Federal grants that from the FAA and others. And I think I gave that to the committee, and I could give you a number, but the exact number was submitted in my packet. But it was a good question, and we did extend a runway, and we, I think, bought a fire truck. So we're talking in terms of a couple $1 million, but my organization, if we don't make money, I don't pay my employees. I don't get any operational funds from anyone. I have to run as a business. And so there has been some public investment, but it's, in terms of my total operation, it's small.
Yeah, and I'll close, Mr. Chairman. I guess the point is, and I don't mind that, and I really do understand that the point of the commercial space industry is to make money, but I think sometimes the public gets confused as though somehow this industry would just be off and going on its own without the requisite support of technology and other kinds of development and investment that the taxpayers made. And I think we get a great benefit for the bargain, but I don't want to pretend that we can engage in this activity without the hand of the taxpayer in there helping it out. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.